morning. The Fox 61 Morning News starts now.
Right now at 6, the heat is on and it's staying on yet another day and right through the weekend, and all the details coming up.
Alex Jones ordered to pay Sandy Hook parents millions of dollars, but he won't have to pay nearly as much as he could have been ordered to. We're going to have the latest from court ahead this hour.
Also, Brittany Griner's WNBA team played in Connecticut last night, just hours after she was sentenced to prison time in Russia. We'll tell you how her teammates expressed their concerns for her.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us here at Fox 61 this Friday. We're glad you're here. I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Happy Friday, everybody. We just came off of what may have been the hottest day of the year. We're going to talk more about the weather, but first things first, some breaking news. We want to show you live pictures of a fire burning at the Manchester Town Dump. This is off of Alcott Street there, and this is a look from very far away, and that, in a weird way, lets you know how big the fire is, that it's still so visible from this far away of a vantage point. Now, we got a crew headed to the scene, and we will have an update shortly.
One of our crew members, Tim, he actually saw the fire heading to work. That's how we first found out about it. Yeah, we send our crew, but again, we're heading that way, and we'll get you a live report as soon as we can. Meantime, take a look at this. What a gorgeous sight there. Beautiful but hot. The National Weather Service says the temperature reached 96 degrees here in the capital city. Governor Ned Lamont is extending the extreme hot weather protocol through Tuesday morning. It was originally supposed to end today. The protocol helps state agencies get protection for people who need to escape the heat through the United Way's 211 phone line. And don't forget, call that number if you need to find a place to cool off.
And again, there's not too much of a real world difference between high 80s and low 90s, but technically in terms of is it keeping a heat wave alive? Today's that day where maybe Sam Samperi, do we get to 90 and then?
It'll be very close. You know, we're waking up with more clouds this morning, so it might hold temperatures down, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As you said, it could be 85 degrees and feel like 95. So, and that's going to be more the case this weekend. We might have temperatures in the upper 80s, but it's going to feel like the 90s because the humidity is not going away until next week. So we are waking up the temperatures in the 70s this morning. Look at the dew point at 70. Very, very steamy out there. Water temperature 77. New Haven 78 degrees. It's been in the upper 70s in there 80 all night long down there. 70 Torrington, 70 Willimantic. When you see those temperatures in the northeastern and northwestern hills, you know that it is very steamy out there, very warm. You can see those dew points, tropical to very, very uncomfortable. A little bit of fog issues now rolling up out of Long Island Sound and Groton, London. Otherwise, it's just hazy. It's partly cloudy, mostly cloudy. There are a couple spot showers to our west, but not really too concerned about that. This front up here isn't moving anywhere. And so, yes, we will be watching that very carefully, and just want to show you that by this afternoon, there could be a couple of spot showers or storms, could pour down some heavy rain. We'll be tracking that for you. I have more details coming up with temperatures getting into the upper 80s to lower 90s. And yes, the frizz factor, Lauren, as we check back with you on the roads, and how are we doing other than the frizz factor and humidity going on?
Yeah, last time you brought that graphic up, I tied my hair right up. So by the end of today, that's exactly where it will be up.
I would do that before you go out.
Just because you guys have told me that it is ponytail status right now. Here at 6:03 in the CTDOT Traffic Center, relatively quiet morning. Now the construction has wrapped up for the day. Let's take you out to the Hartford area. I-91 north and southbound moving fine. 84 looking good. Route 2 also moving freely into and out of the capital city. Glastonbury to the Founders Bridge is also looking good as of right now. Typically, we see some heavier delays in that area. Waterbury to I-84 eastbound, traffic moving right at speed, taking you about 4 minutes to get there. No delays now the construction has wrapped up for the morning. And as we take a live look out in Waterbury, you can see that for yourself right there. And let's take a look down in Fairfield County. Fairfield, things are moving freely as of right now. We typically see those delays start to ramp up between 5:30 and 6:30. So we will start to see those heavier delays on the southbound side. And lastly, out in New Haven, things have been moving smoothly on Long Wharf for the time being out in New Haven. Like I said, moderate to heavy volume has been out there this morning, but overall no incidents to report on the roads. We'll check back in coming up in the next half hour, but for now, Tim and Eric, I'll send things back over to you.
Okay, Lauren, thank you. 6:05, new this morning. Former President Donald Trump endorsed Republican candidate Leora Levy here in Connecticut as she's trying to win the Republican primary in order to take on Richard Blumenthal for his Senate seat. That endorsement came last night over the phone at a gathering of the Montville Republican Town Committee. Now, Trump said, and we quote, "Leora Levy is a wonderful woman who works hard and smart and will never let you down. She will defeat the corrupt Richard Blumenthal in November, and what a victory that will be. Leora has my complete and total endorsement." Trump also took the time to attack Senator Blumenthal for distorting his Vietnam service record. He said, quote, "Blumenthal stated over and over again that he had watched men die by his side as he fought in battle, talked and bragged about it incessantly, and yet it was a total hoax." Well, we fact-checked that. Blumenthal never claimed that he watched men die, but years ago he did admit that he misspoke about his service and that he never served in combat during the war. So running again against Levy in the primary next week, Themis Claridis and Peter Lumage, all three candidates hoping to be the one to take on Richard Blumenthal in November. And Blumenthal on the Democratic side is running unopposed. So no primary there. Now, as for the Connecticut Democrats, they released a statement last night after Trump's endorsement, saying in part, Levy is anti-choice, has questioned the legitimacy of the congressional investigation into the deadly insurrection on January 6th, and is pushing an agenda that Connecticut voters do not support. Another reminder, you can text the word VOTE to the number on your screen, 860-527-6161, for more details on the primary day races. In Texas, a jury has ordered right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones to pay more than $4 million in compensatory damages to the parents of Jesse Lewis, one of the children killed in the Sandy Hook tragedy nearly 10 years ago.
All this after Jones had been using his platform for years to spread the message that the school shooting was all a hoax. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc is joining us now live in the studio. This is very significant, Julia.
It sure is, and it's not over just yet. But the reason this ruling is significant is because this is the first time the InfoWars host has been held financially liable for claiming that the Sandy Hook shooting was a staged event. But even though the jury made this decision yesterday, they still have work to do today. This morning, they have to decide how much Jones should pay in punitive damages to Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis. Those right there are the parents of Jesse Lewis, one of the 20 children and 6 educators killed in the Sandy Hook tragedy. Here's their attorney yesterday.
I'm very happy today, and I know my clients are too. It was my goal when I started on this case to get this family a multi-million-dollar verdict for their pain and suffering.
Jesse's parents sued Jones for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, asking originally for $150 million. Now, in this trial, we've learned a lot. Jones has admitted that he now knows that the shooting was, quote, 100% real. And earlier this week, Jones was caught off guard in what he himself called a Perry Mason moment when the attorney representing the family actually confronted him, saying Jones's attorneys accidentally sent them 2 years of his text messages where he references Sandy Hook. Now, this is significant because in the pre-trial, Jones claimed he didn't have any texts regarding the tragedy on his phone. Now, those lawyers are accusing Jones of lying under oath, which would be a federal crime. Now, also during that trial, Scarlett Lewis and Neil Heslin got the chance to face Jones head on. Take a listen.
I can't even describe the last 9.5 years of the living hell that I and others have had to endure because of the negligence and the recklessness of Alex Jones.
Heslin and Lewis told jurors an apology from Jones would not suffice, and they called on them to make Jones pay for years of suffering. Now, Jones also faces other legal actions as well. A Connecticut judge right here at home has ruled against him in a similar lawsuit brought by other Sandy Hook families. He's also facing another trial in Austin. But once again, this defamation trial, which we are talking about right now, picks back up again today. Obviously, we will be following that very closely. And we'll bring you all the developments, Tim and Erica.
Absolutely.
Punitive damages could wind up being more than the damages already awarded, but we'll see. That could be figured out by the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Julia, thank you.
At 6:09 this morning, WNBA star Brittany Griner is in a Russian jail this morning after being sentenced to 9 years in prison on drug charges. The Connecticut Sun hosted her team last night. The Sun and the Phoenix Mercury together held a special tribute to Griner before last night's game.
We're inspired every day by BG's strength, and we are steadfastly committed to keeping her top of mind publicly until she's safely back on American soil.
Well, players for both teams locked arms at center court at Mohegan Sun Arena. They held a 42-second long moment of silence because 42 is the number, the jersey number Griner wore for the Mercury. Her teammates reacted to her sentencing after the game.
It's heavy. It's just heavy, y'all. I mean, y'all asking if these questions don't really take away from our trauma. You just add to our trauma so we can we can break down and cry in front of y'all so you can see how we feel. Like, what else I don't know what else to really say about it. It's our sister. This is not some random Jane off the street. It's not anything we're politicizing. It's a human being, and this is our real life friend and real life sister.
You heard Skylar Diggins-Smith there, maybe starting to choke up at the end. Her team lost to the Suns 77-64. They said they didn't even really want to play last night, but they did want to play enough just to honor her and play hard for her, even if the spirit was a little lacking.
I love my family.
You heard that. Griner, a very simple message saying she loves her family as she was led out of the courtroom after sentencing just outside Moscow. Now, Griner pleaded guilty to drug trafficking charges after saying she accidentally left vape cartridges with cannabis oil in her luggage, which she said is legally prescribed to her, legally in the U.S., of course. Griner's lawyers also provided character witnesses from the Russian team for which she plays in the WNBA offseason. President Biden called on Russia to immediately release Griner, and she spoke out in court ahead of the sentencing. Here's what she had to say.
I never meant to hurt anybody. I never meant to put in jeopardy the Russian population. I never meant to break any laws here.
It is a miscarriage of justice. The U.S. Department of State has determined that Ms. Griner was wrongfully detained. Nothing in today's decision changes that determination.
In addition to the 9 years in prison, Griner was fined 1 million rubles, which at this point is about 16,000 US dollars.